Major League, minor league baseball trophies from when you're a kid, right?
Who was in Major League Baseball when they were a kid?
Me, because I was incredible. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the HGO Podcast, the show where we talk about everything that's hot in the world of gaming. I am one of your hosts, Ethan, and as always, I'm joined by the co-host with the co-most. It's Hunter. Hey, Hunter. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
I felt really official with that one. I felt like I was just going in. Like, most of the time, you know, I feel like it's like a light-hearted romp, but that time I felt it was pretty serious. I don't know why, but hey, that's what you get at 1:45 in the morning on a lovely...
Welcome to the gritty reboot of HGO.
In a world
we don't have fun here
with
anymore.
weeb wonders, it's Kyle. Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
Yeah, let me just go get the plain black jacket.
But are you doing alright, Kyle?
Yeah, dude, I'm doing just dandy. Jim,
Yeah,
Crack,
good.
and Dandy.
Jim, Crack, and Dandy,
That's the
all
spirit.
three. Love to see it. This is going to be a fun one to edit. We're
The
doing a
bootleg cousins of Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Jim, Crack, and Dandy. Could you imagine, dude? Could you imagine like walking into your local supermarket? That's like the local version, you know. That's like the bargain bin version.
The store brand.
Yeah, the store brand. Jim, Crack, and Dandy.
Oh yeah, like when instead of Pop-Tarts, stores will have toaster pastries.
Oh, hell yeah.
Toasted pastries, you love to hear it. But no, if you didn't know, this is the HGO Podcast. Every week we come to you and talk to you all about everything that's been happening and going on in the world of gaming. You can find us on podcast services everywhere.
Today.
And snacks. Kind of bug, kind of snack.
Fuck it, it's a food podcast today.
It's a food podcast now. It has been since Bug Snacks, dude. It has been since Bug Snacks. Anyway, we're on podcast services everywhere, including iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, you name it, we're on it. So head on over to linktree/hotgamersonly. That's linktr.ee/hotgamersonly. Find your favorite podcast platform. And hey, why don't you go listen on there? Also, Sam just sent me a DM, and that's very unprofessional because that's going to come up in the audio recording. But we're recording on Audacity, so we're fine. Haha. Screw you, Samuel. But if you...
Oh, that sucker beat Mikolash first try.
Yeah, good for him, dude. Very professional. If you... I've
These
lost
guys
my
have
train
been
of thought
playing
now.
Bloodborne for like 2 weeks now.
I haven't.
I
I've
beat
played
it
it for
last
4
week.
days.
About.
4 days I've been playing it.
I have issues. I beat it last week, and I've just been watching Ethan and Sam play it now.
The spiel. I need to get back on the spiel. Anyway, if you listen on the podcast service, do us a favour and leave a positive review because it helps us in the review algorithm. We really would appreciate it. What we're going to start doing, as a little incentive to get podcast reviews, is even if you don't listen on a podcast review, head on over, say you have an iPhone, go to the iTunes store, give us a review, let us know on Twitter @HotGamersOnly, and we'll give anyone that tweets at us, sending that they've given us a review, we'll just give you a shout out. And we'll just say thank you.
Do you not have phones?
Do you not have phones? Just grab your phone, whip it out, head on over to Google Play, iTunes, you name it, anything that has a review system. Give us a review, and we'll shout you out if you tweet at us. I'm not going to go and check every podcast service because you'll be like, I don't want someone in the comments being like, oh, you didn't go on fucking Castbox and see my review. And I'll be like, bitch, who goes on Castbox?
I can't believe you didn't respond to my Justin TV comment.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. But we do appreciate it. And hey, if you also want to support us, you can head on over to the YouTube version on bit.ly/HGOYT. That's HGOYT. Or search for Hot Games Only on YouTube. You can see our beautiful faces each and every week. And hey, leave us with a subscription. Get us to 100 subs. And hey, if you do subscribe, let us know. We'll shout you out as well. We're really close to 100. Can we get there? Please. That'd be great. Other than that, I don't really think we have much in the way of housekeeping. We've got a couple of bonus episodes coming up in a bit. I've finished P5, so Strikers spoiler cast soon. TM. It'll probably be it'll be whenever we say soon. It's either this week or in like a month and a half's time. So we'll see what happens. But that's coming soon. We have some other stuff in the works. I've been too busy playing Bloodborne, but we'll get back on track to making new content for you soon. So make sure you hit subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter @HotGamersOnly for all updates on everything that we release on the channel. With all of that spiel and shenanigans out of the way, this week...
That was a long spiel.
It was, but it was because we kind of had
it
a
kept
halfway
getting interrupted,
fucking... Yeah,
so that was that.
We went on tangent upon tangent. You know, I was watching a podcast the other day, and there was genuinely someone asked. They had a guest on, and they asked them a question, and no joke, 20 minutes later they'd been on 5 tangents, and the guy was just like, "So what was the question again?" And I was like, "What a great podcast! I love when that happens. It's pretty great." But speaking of what are we talking about today? Hey, Hunter. You've got
what are
a
we
topic
talking
for us
about?
to talk about, because I have no clue. I'm just showing up. I beat Bloodborne and now I'm here. What are we talking about?
All right,
I didn't beat Bloodborne and now I'm here.
Congratulations, Kyle.
Thank you.
Play it when you get a
You did have a
PS5.
vaccine, though, so congratulations on getting vaccinated, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, dude.
And you don't feel like
fucking
shit, so
healthy
that's
boy.
good. Yeah, you don't feel like shit,
Yeah,
so
look
that's
at you.
good.
Not yet, no. We'll see what happens on the second day.
Well, you'll probably get your second shot before I even get my first, because that's how our country works. Is we started
That was
rolling
my
it
second
out.
shot.
Oh, that was your second shot? Oh, even
Yeah.
better then. Wow, nice, dude.
Way to
Wow,
pay
show off.
attention, Ethan.
I forgot you did. It's been the thing. Right. Here's
Thanks,
the thing.
best
In the UK,
buddy.
tangent time. In the UK, when you get your first vaccination, there's a gap of like 12 weeks before you can even sign up for your second
gap.
one. Yeah, it's like 3 months. And the way the UK is working is that they're doing it by age. So in the US, they've kind of just given up and gone, anyone that wants a shot, come and get it. If you can get a time, you can have a shot. Or if you work in the school system like Kyle, you can kind of get a shot as well. But here, it's based on age. So at this rate, I'll have mine in like fucking September and then my second shot in 2025. So it'll be real fun. But yeah, so it's good to see you vaccinated and not feeling like shit.
I was fortunate enough, like Ethan said, I work for a school system, so I was just able to register for both of them a month apart from each other. So no hassle, just in and out, super easy.
Yeah. But no, it's good to hear that you're not feeling like shit, because I've heard a lot of people have had that second jab and been like knocked out by it. So
have
fingers
I,
crossed.
dude. That's why I told you about that early in the week.
Yeah. We didn't think Kyle was going to be here today, so touch wood.
Truthfully, neither did I.
Yeah. But anyway, there's a tangent for you. Let's get back on track. Onto what we're talking about today.
All right, so there wasn't
Snacks.
a whole lot in the
And bugs.
in the way of things happening in the video game world, but one of the most interesting things was the rumor that Square Enix was looking to be bought or was going to be bought that turned out to be false. But I figured we could still talk about that world or that alternate timeline and who would have potentially bought them and how sad it would make us.
Well, first I want to start off with, probably should have gotten the article up, but it was Bloomberg Japan. I remember who did it, because I couldn't read the article again, because their fucking limit on free articles. So, shout outs to you, Bloomberg Japan, where they were like, multiple people have expressed interest in buying Square Enix, which they didn't lie, people have, it's just Square Enix isn't selling, is the idea behind it. So, question is, out of the people who are interested, it's Sony and Microsoft. Let's be real; those are the two that anyone else? Do you think anyone else would have been interested?
Maybe THQ Nordic, because they're maniacs. Who knows?
But
Or
that feels
Embracer
like
Group is the higher one. Yeah, it seems above THQ Nordic's like mark of quality, because they just bought all of the random AA stuff or all the not indie but not AAA things. But
what makes me laugh with THQ Nordic is they have really big IPs. Like they have Saints Row, and they just like they've sat on that IP. The last Saints Row game was 2015, and they're just sitting on that IP that usually sells like 1 million copies, and are releasing Destroy All Humans on the 16th platform. And I'm like, what is THQ Nordic's
Destroy
strategy?
all humans and
What
just
is their strategy? I don't understand it.
It is weird, isn't it? It's strange.
But yeah, the other one I was thinking maybe Tencent.
Yeah, and I think that would be the one that would worry me the most, just because I don't like how Tencent has all of its fingers in every pie possible.
Every pie.
Honestly. Like,
I mean,
I know it's a minority share, but they have a share in Epic, don't they?
But who doesn't have a share in Epic? I feel like even Sony has a share in Epic, so I feel like everyone has a share in Epic these days. Microsoft doesn't. I feel like Microsoft is...
Microsoft is like, we're either going to buy you outright or we're not going to do anything.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So yeah, it was an interesting article, because I didn't think it was good. I was like, really? and then when I read it and it was like, oh, people are interested in buying it. I'm like, of course people are interested in buying Square Enix, but it'd be an interesting timeline because to me, the most sense would be Sony wanting them. Solely because of 90% of Square IP has a history on PlayStation at this point. Final Fantasy since 7 has very much been established as a PlayStation kind of franchise. Kingdom Hearts for the longest time was a PlayStation exclusive, except for the spin-offs on the 3DS, the DS, the Game Boy, and shit like that. But the mainline games were exclusive to PlayStation.
PSP.
The PSP, but that's a PlayStation anyway.
The phone.
Well, yeah, I just felt like it was worth mentioning that Kingdom Hearts' spin-offs went everywhere.
Kingdom Hearts has been everywhere.
God, they really did.
Yeah,
what a weird time that was.
Kingdom Hearts is like a college fresher. They've been everywhere, dude. They have been absolutely everywhere. Anyway, moving on. Square Enix. So yeah, Sony made the most sense. Microsoft is just... I feel like everyone's on edge because Microsoft has had their wallet open now for like the past 8 months and has been buying here, there, and everywhere. So I feel like there's a bit of a scare for Microsoft. However, after all of the Naughty Dog business and all the Sony's recent things, I'm like, I don't know if I'd want Sony to have Square. I don't want...
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing.
Just like Square to keep operating as they are.
I don't see it like... I don't want them to. Like, I don't want everything to be first party in a weird way. Like, I don't want everything segregated by system, because that's how it used to be. That's how the gaming industry used to be. Back when it was Sega and Nintendo, used to have games, and even early PlayStation, right? There was... Multiplat was kind of a minority more than a majority. There was quite a lot.
Yeah, like in the Sega and Nintendo days, it was like... The only one I can think of off the top of my head that was on both was like Mortal Kombat, and that was like definitely better on Sega because it actually let them keep the blood.
And also, a lot of the licensed Disney games ended up being shared.
Or
but
even,
the Genesis ones were kind of just universally better.
Mm-hmm. And even if
because
you
they
had
like
that weird... Go on, Hunter.
Different games or something for those, didn't they? Were they like considerably different? On each?
I think so.
That's what I was going to say was if there was a multi-plat game back in the day, all the versions would be different. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be the same game technically. It's like you'd have a game release on the PS1, the PS2, the GBA, and like all of these weird fucking and they'd all have different... Great example, Harry Potter. The Harry Potter games. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or for you people in America that are too dumb to understand the word philosopher, the Sorcerer's Stone. I don't understand why did they make that change?
For that. Philosopher's Stone, first of all, is a like magical thing. It's a known like thing that if you hear it once in one place, you should know what it is.
Yeah.
And it sounds so much cooler than Sorcerer's Stone.
I never understood why they made that change. Honestly.
This might just be my dumb brain, but I kind of like the alliteration of Sorcerer's Stone.
That's probably why they did it. They probably did it.
Fair,
Sorcerer probably appealed more to American children.
It appeals to my little smooth brain.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I don't like Harry Potter.
No. But anyway, moving on. Moving on. Moving on to the the actual video games of it. When you had so for the Philosopher's Stone, there was a PS1 version, a PS2 version, a GBA version, and all three versions were different fucking video games. Like, it was crazy. Back in the day, multiplat basically meant, it's the same name, but the game's different. Which is crazy. Nowadays, there's never, if there's any differences in multiplat, it's, look at the Switch version running a bit shitter. Or, look at the frame rate difference between PS4 and Xbox One, like there was, those few times in the early days of last generation. There's not really that many differences anymore. Mm-hmm. So... back on topic, right? We used to live in a world where exclusives were basically the norm. Every game was an exclusive. It was there was a minority of games that were on everything. Nowadays, it feels like that. Why the fuck would we want to go back to that? You want as many games in as many places as possible. You want the system sellers and shit like that. That Sony will keep making its third.
There's a place for both
games.
of them, but I wouldn't want the majority of things to be exclusive anymore. It's exclusives are nice because when they're made specifically for one thing from the ground up, that means they're better optimized and all that. But also, if things can just be elsewhere and you're not beholden to like the platform holder, then I don't see why you wouldn't want it to be elsewhere.
Yeah, it's just kind of a stupid idea, which is why I hate all these fucking talks. And we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. I hate when you have the fanboys that are going cheering for the fucking corporations, going, "Hey, get the fucking, let's go." Yeah. And it's like, what's the fucking point, right? Like, you can easily. I don't understand. It's like people get very like personal when it comes to like video game consoles, in the same way that Marvel and DC and shit like that, other things that 8-year-olds care about on the fucking playground, you know? I just don't understand it. It's like, why the fuck? It's like, also with Square Enix, I'm like, if Sony or Microsoft wanted to buy someone, I feel like they're a smaller fish than Square that they would go for. Square just seems massive to me.
Yeah.
I've had this little notion in my head of the potential Microsoft one, and that Square just haggling them up for more since they know how much they'll just throw around for Bethesda.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Square is more... I don't know if this is just a personal bias, but I feel like Square's worth more than Bethesda, just because of the IP.
I would agree, yeah.
This statement isn't necessarily that Bethesda won't make the money that Microsoft had to pay for back, but I believe that Microsoft overpaid for them.
Oh, 100%.
As far as I wouldn't have done it, because I don't think that Bethesda's IP is worth $7 billion.
100%, but it's going to be one of those things like Minecraft, where whether you like Bethesda or not, they're recurrent revenue. They're not.
Yeah.
It's a safe bet. It's a safe bet that the company that makes Elder Scrolls, when they make another Elder Scrolls, that game is going to sell. It's kind of, it was an easy thing. Whereas Square is also in that position where if you bought them, and you probably have to spend a lot of money for them, you would probably make your money back because of all of the IP that they do own. They are smaller IPs.
You just have to kind of grit your teeth when they put out the Avengers.
Yeah. But they are small. Like, I think people sometimes big up Square's IPs a bit too much. For example, Final Fantasy, very big IP for JRPGs in general. But it's not like as huge as, like, it's a huge name, but I feel like the name is huge, not necessarily the sales. Like, Final Fantasy sells like a couple of million, like, good, but not like, it's not like, it never enters like the top 10 lists of greatest games, at least not any, like, high-selling games.
Not anymore. Like, Final Fantasy VII's original version probably was for the time, probably. You know, but... Like,
but the market was smaller then, yeah.
Like, after nowadays, 10, I don't think that it was the, like, juggernaut kind of number that you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Except for, like, I think 14's like one of the best performing MMOs on the market right now.
I think it's just the game industry's got bigger, not necessarily that the sales of Square have diminished. It's just kind of everyone else has grown. It's like Kingdom Hearts 3 was the best-selling Kingdom Hearts game. Doesn't mean that it was like it's done like absolutely incredible numbers. Like, oh, we're putting Kingdom Hearts 3 up next to GTA 5 in terms of sales. That's not fucking happening. But it still sold really well. But I feel like the smaller fish. Like, I've said this for a while. I'm not worried about Square. My next like company to be scared about would be Sega. That's the next one that I'd be terrified of. I don't think Sega would. Like I say, I think Sega is much more likely to be selling IP than it would be to, or smaller branches than it would be to sell its entire fucking thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they will, because I feel like Sega is in this place now where they're like, we have been making Yakuza games, and we have been making, and we've been helping with Persona Team and Atlas and Shin Megami Tensei for so long, and we're not going to give it up as soon as it starts becoming a big deal. Like, that'd be like the dumbest
that'd be a little
move.
Silly.
Yeah, you know, we made all these games while it was niche, but now that it's a normie thing, we don't want it. So you can have it. We'll sell it to you. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But no, with this whole Square Enix thing, I don't know. I wasn't scared, but at the same time, I feel like it'd be bad if it did happen.
Yeah, like, I don't like any of the possibilities if it did.
No. I mean, the only hope would be if they did get bought out, I'd hope that it wouldn't be Sony or Microsoft, just because the whole fucking exclusivity shtick is... I'm really sick of the exclusivity thing now, to be honest. I'm just like... I'll buy both of your fucking boxes if you just stop. If you just stop and make good games. I don't care about this pissing contest of literally Phil Spencer pisses over fucking Jim Ryan pisses back. Like this is the thing that keeps happening nowadays, and it's like Jim Ryan just needs to stop pissing because everywhere he pisses just goes wrong instantly.
This is a weird analogy, and I don't think I like it.
It's a good job we don't monetize It's a good job we don't have monetization because YouTube would just look at this and go, no.
Dude, if we had sponsors and they listened to that part, they'd pull. They'd be like, okay, never again.
They wouldn't pull. People have said worse, dude. People have said worse, potentially.
You've got raids.
Exactly. If Raid Shadow Legends will allow stuff like that in, then who knows what sponsors will get away with. Anyway, moving on. Square Enix. Kyle, has anyone got anything else to add on the whole Square Enix thing? It happened.
I don't really want Square Enix to get bought. I kind of like how Square Enix is such a big company. They have so many different teams working for all 3 different consoles that you can't really pin them down. Yeah. Because if you think about it, they've just looking at the future, they've got Project Triangle strategy coming for Switch next year, and what happens then?
Mm-hmm. It is one of those.
It's supposed to come out.
It's just one of those things where I think
if Microsoft bought it, they'd be like, we'll uphold all of the deals, and then they're ours. And I'm like,
the only thing that would potentially be interesting if they did get bought is if whoever bought them was fascinated with one of the Square IPs that they shot and shoved into the vault.
God. Which one do you want to talk about? Mario RPG, Chrono, Xenogears?
Yeah, if someone decided they, let's say Microsoft bought them, and someone there decided, hey, let's make a Chrono Trigger game, or a Parasite Eve or something. I'd be like, okay.
Parasite Eve, yes please.
Parasite Eve, imagine.
Would like to play that game.
It's PS1 and all that.
I just
look for it, I guess.
Yeah, but how cheap can I get it for? How many limbs do I have to cut off to get a disc?
Before the PS3 store goes, I'll buy it digitally for you and mail a PS3 to you.
That's that's a good little segue, because I don't know if you heard about this. This is a bit of news that we can really quickly talk about. I'm just going to put PS3 problems on my little card so I know what we're talking about. Further PS3 problems. I don't know if you saw this, Hunter, but I thought a bit of a warning for everyone. Everyone that was scared of the PlayStation Store closing, get a bit more scared, because there are reports this week.
It gets worse.
It gets worse. There are reports this week of people already with disc versions of their games being unable to download patches of those games off the store because they're tied to the store. Yeah. So it gets worse because some of these games got stuff like online support and trophy implementation after the day one patch. So some of these games might just become impossible to get trophies on from now on. So,
you were throwing me off for a second when you said PS3 and that, because I thought you were going to talk about how the PS4...
the battery?
When the battery thing dies, you have to be connected to the internet.
Yeah, that's also true for the PS3, and it's true for the PS5. It's a great little fucking feature, dude. It's a great But with the PS3, you can still play disc games. You just can't play your digital games. PS4, even disc games get fucked.
That doesn't make sense. Why would you make a machine like that?
I honestly have no fucking clue, because the problem is everyone's like, oh, it's an easy battery to replace. I'm like, that's great, but the thing is, when you put
what happens
battery
when the battery runs out?
No, when the battery runs out, you can replace it. But if the servers are going
when the
to
batteries
verify
are
it,
gone.
Yeah, well, that's true. But also, even if you had a surplus of batteries, if the battery can't ping the server to check and verify itself, it doesn't work anyway. So. It's like, oh man. We talked a lot about it last week, but I just thought it was extremely funny that this kind of came out and no one's really talked about it. So I thought I'd mention it. But yeah, it seems like even physical games are going to get fucked because even patches might not be able to... Some patches might go off the store the day the store closes, which is scary. I'm already I'm already antsy. I'm already ready. I'm already like tempted. Maybe I'd be in Bloodborne in fucking 4 days. So the Persona 4 playthrough is coming soon, I guess, because I need that fucking platinum before the servers die on me.
You mean the one on your TV there?
Yeah, I can guarantee there's a part of me that's like waiting till E3, like June, because I'm waiting. I'm like, if I start it the day before E3, I can guarantee within the next 3 days they'll announce a PS4 port, and it'll be really fucking funny because I'll just be sitting here playing the shitty Vita TV version. Like, that'll be great fun. But no, I just thought it was fucking hilarious that this kind of went under the radar. It was a load of updates for PS3 games on disc, and some of them, trophy support doesn't even work without latest patches. So that's another fucking problem that we have to deal with game preservation and stuff like that.
God.
It's really interesting to think about that if you do get if you decide to go back and play like a PS3 game you missed, suddenly now you'll be playing like the very beginning of it and not like anything that got patched out. Because with some games, they change details and like Bloodborne, for example. Since you've been playing that, some of the item descriptions got like revised after certain patches. Like one of the chords says something different on the launch version.
Here's my thing, right? Is with the PS3, you're lucky that game's still on discs. Like, if I was to grab a PS3 game out of my drawer now, the full game's on the disc and it runs off the disc. That's perfect. If I pick a game up from my shelf on the PS4, I don't know why I did that because my fucking cable just got tangled. But say I pick up, what's a great example? Here's a great fucking example. This D-Gen video game, Spyro Reignited. If I was to pick this up and put this onto the shelf, I could play the first fucking game off the disc. The first one, because the other two weren't on it. That's a great extent. So that's 2 lost. That's to a greater extent. But if we're not counting that, even though most games aren't fully on the disc anymore.
Yeah.
Most games, the day one patch includes parts of the video game. Because some publishers, not going to name them, cough, cough Activision, cough, cough every other scummy, like EA and all those other scummy guys over there, basically, they don't want to print, because each PS4 disc at least had 50 gigs of storage. If you've noticed, most games nowadays, over 50 gigs of storage. And because they can't be asked, they don't want to use 2 discs, because that costs, what are they going to do? They're just going to put part of the game on the disc and make you download the other. I can't wait for when this happens eventually for the PS4 generation. Just to watch as a whole, basically, the whole library dies.
The thing there is that because almost, I guess, everything from the PS4 can go with you to the PS5, it won't matter that much. As long as you have the next system.
Unless they take them off the service, yeah. That's the one thing. The good news is I don't think PS4 games are going anywhere because of the backwards compatibility.
I'm glad they decided to do that now.
In the same way, in the same way, I feel like the only reason PS3 is going is because there's no way in hell that they can get it to work. I'm sure that they thought about trying to get backwards compatibility for PS3 to work, but it just isn't happening because of how fucking convoluted that system is. It's not as easy as pressing a button as many people think. The PS3 is such a shit show of a console where they thought that they'd be really smart and make a really complicated device, and it backfired in their fucking face because they just thought, we're Sony, people will make anything with it on our console, and everyone just went, nah, fuck this is too hard, we're just going to make it on the Xbox and then port a shit version to PS3. And that was the mentality for most games.
Why do I need to solve a Rubik's Cube to make Pong for your system?
Yeah, basically. I mean, that was Mark Cerny's whole thing going into PS4, and now PS5 was, man, the PS3 was a shit show in terms of programming. Let's dial it back in. Let's just make them PCs, which is like the smarter idea. But yeah, I thought I'd just update everyone with the whole PS3 shenanigans, because it gets worse, and it will get worse. My suggestion to everyone listening and watching is, if you have a PS3 game or a PS Vita game that you really want to go and get that platinum trophy on, if you've been sitting there and going, man, I can't live without that trophy being on my account, go and do it now while you still can, because I don't know how long that shit's going to last. I really don't. That's what I'll do with Persona.
You know something funny, and just because I've been in the orbit of this stupid trophy for years at this point, and several different accounts of it, because I played Dragon Age Origins so much on my own PlayStation and on both of my brother's PlayStations that, if you add up the collective trophy percentage, I've achieved that platinum like twice. But if there's one that was glitched that prevented me from getting it or something.
Oh.
So perhaps because that one in Dragon Age is a game that I really like, maybe I should look into trying to see if I can undo that glitch.
Potentially. I would probably recommend. It's one of those weird things, right? Where it seems stupid, but at the same time, it's like, we've never had this before. We've never had a end of a life cycle of a console that's had an online ecosystem surrounding it. We've never had that before. And if we did, it was with the Wii and the DS. And I'm sorry, I'm not counting the Wii and the DS. I'm not counting Mario Kart DS's online as a fucking ecosystem. Because it's a game, right? And they fixed it. And I'm sure Kyle's looking at me like, what did you say, you little shit? But you know what I mean,
I didn't
right?
play Mario Kart DS online.
But, right, you know what I mean,
I played it on
right?
the playground with my friends in middle school. That was the shit, dude.
It was.
That shit was amazing.
If you weren't Shy Guying it up, then I don't want to talk to you, dude. All my homies, God, the good days of Mario Kart DS when only one fucker owned the game and everyone else was Shy Guying it up, dude, going, hell yeah, let's
Dude,
go.
the fact that it even worked with just one cartridge was awesome. You may have only got 8 tracks and 2 battle maps, but it was so cool.
And you were dumb kids. You didn't even realize you were missing out on all the other stuff anyway. You were just
dude,
like, this
you
is
were
the
just
game.
having
This
fun
is
with
cool.
your buddies. It had
Honestly,
8-person connection. That shit was hot.
I miss DS download play, dude, with
DS
Mario Party
download
as well.
play was fucking amazing.
Mario Party as well. Mario
Party
DS,
DS slapped,
Mario
dude.
Party DS with the share with the what's it called, share whatever, I don't remember
Dude,
what it.
you got the whole
System share?
game.
You got the whole game.
whole game with one cartridge.
Yeah.
If you shared it with your friends, that was absolutely fantastic.
That's the closest to a multiplayer experience that isn't couch co-op that we got for Mario Party ever. That's like the closest we ever got to it. And I loved that game, man. Fucking great.
That game was so fun.
God, DS share play was so good. Like, sharing games all over that.
It really
Fucking
was.
hot. But anyway, moving back on track. The PlayStation Network going down on PS3. Yeah, why not? But like, this is the first console, right? Because even the Wii U servers are still up, and the 3DS servers are still up. This is the first console with an ecosystem in it, like where everything's kind of connected, going down, kind of saluting 07's, like part of it's dying and eventually it'll all die, right? It's kind of weird to be like, oh yeah, if you want something on your track record, you gotta go and do it now before you say goodbye, or, you don't want to miss those updates or those DLCs. It's gonna be such a weird fucking feeling. It's gonna be such a weird day when PS3 dies. People always used to take the piss out of Game of the Year editions, but that's literally the only way we're going to get DLCs now for those consoles.
Oh, baby, I'm so happy I have Dragon Age's Ultimate Edition.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I sure hope none of those day one patches fixed any game-breaking glitches.
Yeah, imagine. Yeah. Oh, wait, yeah. That's like every game on nowadays, but yeah. It was a bit better back then. Anyway, there you go. Bit of a warning.
It was before they realized they could just be like, we'll fix it later.
Yeah, we'll fix it. It is the definition.
The game's half done? Whatever.
It was genuinely the day one patch.
What's that? It doesn't work on the PS4? Oh, ship it anyway.
Oops.
We'll fix it later. It is the definition
of
like fix it
in the
post.
store.
Yeah, exactly. But there you go. Other than that, what else we got to talk about, Hunter? There we go. Have we got anything else that we can talk about? We were going to talk about difficulty in video games.
Yeah, difficulty in video games is made up and people are babies.
What a great topic. Video game difficulty. What a fun topic. Hunter
feels very strongly about this topic.
Right. I also kind of... Well, I have another statement. If that's your statement that you're throwing out here, this is my statement, right? We need to stop comparing difficulty in video game reviews to fucking Dark Souls. That's my comparison. Not because it's annoying saying that everything's the Dark Souls of this, because Dark Souls
super annoying,
isn't
but also
fucking hard. I have come, and I know what you're thinking. Ethan, how can you say that? How have you come to this incredible, amazing, life-changing fucking realization? And let me tell you, kids, it's because I have not only played Bloodborne this week, I finished Bloodborne this week, and I did it in 4 days. It's not a hard video game. It really fucking isn't. Kyle could play Bloodborne and finish it in 4 days. Literally, if you've played a hack and slash or any video game
Kyle,
before in your life...
if you've beat Dante Must Die on DMC3 once, you'll be good.
If you have played a video game that has ever included something called pattern recognition in your life, then it's not hard. It's genuinely not. And I have always sat there, like, backseat going, Dark Souls isn't as hard as people make it out to be. But now I've actually played a Dark Souls game. I can very safely say that, yes. Is it challenging? Yes, it's challenging. It's somewhat challenging. But it's not hard.
That's the thing, is it's not even, like, hard. It's because it will punish you for your mistakes when you make them. But if you can get good enough to not make those mistakes or mitigate the damage from those mistakes, it becomes not so bad anymore.
It's just... I just don't understand it. Like, the reason I've mainly been putting off Bloodborne for so long, it's been in my backlog for ages. I'm not really just to get everyone up to speed. I've never gone into Dark Souls because I don't like the aesthetic. To me, the aesthetic is boring. So that's why I've never gotten into Dark Souls. It just doesn't fit.
Just the grim, dark fantasy thing. Yeah.
It just doesn't fit with me. Bloodborne was always interesting to me because it was kind of the gothic, kind of Victorian,
goth, really sweet looking
French,
trench coats,
like
and
French
werewolves.
architecture and weird shit like that. It was all like, and that looked cool, and it was interesting. It's kind of Cthulhu mythos, all of that kind of stuff. You know, basically very Lovecraftian, very gothic. And I was into it.
A lot of my favorite things.
Yeah. The thing that put me off it was everyone saying, hardest fucking game I've ever played, mate. What a champion. I am a god tier gamer for finishing this video game. Wow. Hardest challenge of my life. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna play it because I don't feel like bashing my head against the wall at something that's bullshit hard. I don't feel like doing it. Played it. And, like, I just kept making progress, and then there have been a couple of points where I've sat on a boss for a couple of hours, but let's be real, there's, like, 17 bosses in this game. The number of bosses where I've actually been stuck is about 3.
Yeah. There were 2, including the DLC, that gave me a challenge that took over, like, 2 hours, and that was it. And 2 hours is, like, scratching the ceiling of that.
And it's like, the closest, it's like, it's not that hard. The hardest thing that I had was I basically beat a boss. I got him to like an inch of health after playing him for like 45 minutes an hour and got that pissed off, and it was 5 a.m. that I just brought Hunter into my world to finish him off. That's the closest I got to like rage quitting. And I'd just like to point out...
It was the guy that gave me trouble when I played too, so it felt really good to just mollywop him.
And this is the thing. This was an optional boss. This wasn't even like a main boss or anything like that. All of the main progression bosses I have not had a problem with. One, the Shadow of Yharnam was the hardest one for me. It took me 2 hours, and I was like, oh. I finally beat it in the end. I was trying to get Hunter in, but I couldn't do it.
I was speed running through New Game Plus because I had to be in the area where he was trying to summon me, because Bloodborne's multiplayer is silly and convoluted. So I started like zipping through the New Game Plus, being like, I'll just ignore everything and kill the bosses. I can do that. And then by the time I was starting to come up to the Forbidden Woods for the boss,
I'd finally beaten it. Yeah, I'd finally beaten it. But no, so it's, to me, like, going through it, beating all the bosses. I haven't done the chalice dungeons. I'm tempted to, because I beat the game so fucking quickly that I feel like I might as well play it for a couple of days until Hunter's finished his.
That's the thing too, is because the whole time I was playing, I'm like, when I started, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be significantly difficult. I probably won't do the DLC. I ended up needing to buy the DLC because of weird save shenanigans, but I had kind of decided I was already toying with the idea anyway. I'm like, all right, I will do the DLC because I like this game and it's cool. Yeah. And then for a long time, I was like, I'm not going to bother with the Chalice dungeons because this game's probably real hard and this will be annoying. And then it's like, oh, there's cool lore stuff in there? Sure, I'll go do them.
Yeah. It's very weird after playing Bloodborne. Now being on the other side of a Souls game. One, will I ever go and play another Souls game? The only ones that are slightly interesting to me are Sekiro and Demon's Souls, just because I want to see Demon's Souls, again, I'm not really into the look and the aesthetics of Demon's Souls or Dark Souls, really. But the thing with Demon's Souls is, one, it's a next-gen game, and there's 4 of them, so I might as well play it at some point, because I have the console. And 2, because I kind of want to see the origins of this kind of game. I want to see where they came from, essentially. I want to see what the whole idea was the first time around. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So I might play that. I'm interested in Sekiro because, let's be real, who doesn't want to be a fucking ninja? Who doesn't want to be fucking ninjaing it up, parkouring,
cool
and
robot grappling hook arm?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They saw Devil May Cry 5 and they're like, let me copy your homework.
Yeah. But yeah, and I might play Elden Ring, but Dark Souls, I'll get to Dark Souls if it's ever super cheap and I'm like, I'm really fucking bored, let's just do it. But coming out of it the other side, I'm like, man, are people, here's another question, right? And it sounds like a very elitist attitude coming from this. This is going to sound very, fucking arsey, but let me explain it, right? Are games like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, are they difficult, or are people just shit at video games? And it's and I'm not. This is not me being an arsehole, being like, I'm an excellent video gamer. Look at me go. It's not. I'm not
the
looking.
Thing is, me being successful at a game isn't even necessarily indicative of how hard I think the game is. I died over 1,000 times in Celeste, and technically that game was difficult, but I never felt like it was hard.
Yeah. So my question is obviously are the Souls games a difficult series? Are they difficult? Yes. Are they impossibly bullshit hard? No. It's one of those things where it's once you've learnt the skill set, it's just applying it to a new boss. Mm-hmm. And I know Cal's sitting here probably thinking, if only you knew that this was also how Kingdom Hearts worked, you dumb fuck. Go and learn the super bosses and stop bitching about them. No. But
he's right, though.
I am right. I know I'm right. But the problem with Kingdom Hearts, and it's always been the problem with Kingdom Hearts to me, is that the main game is usually that fucking easy that there's no reason to go out of your way unless you're going in to learn the fucking combat system. And I'm very much a person where if the game doesn't force me to learn its tricks, I personally won't use them. So
like KH2 on critical mode, it'll force you to learn.
Yeah, but that's an extra mode, right? Yeah, it's an extra mode. I'm sure if I did play it on hard mode, I would
juicy
learn.
Fucking plat?
No, I don't. It looks tedious and fucking dull.
It's really not.
Yeah, but to me it does. But the whole thing with
Ethan,
Bloodborne...
you talked to feet in Persona 5 Strikers. Don't fucking talk to me about tedious plats.
We can... Right.
You stopped playing the game to talk to a statue's feet for days. Days, Ethan.
Yeah. Right, I just want to state this, that I very much did say, after doing it, that it was, if it wasn't for the fact that it was a Persona Platinum, I wouldn't have done it. I very much made that I basically, imagine having, Kyle, a shelf of, a shelf of achievements, right? A shelf of trophies, your little Major League, Minor League Baseball trophies from when you're a kid, right? Imagine having the whole
Who
set.
was in Major League Baseball when they were a kid?
Me, because I was fucking incredible. Anyway.
I didn't even catch that. Thank you, Hunter.
I think the word you meant was Little League.
Little League, thank you. Thank you. I'm not... Can you tell that I don't give a shit about baseball because it's not important here. No one knows about baseball.
Anyway.
Yeah, but you live in a country that actually talks about it and cares about it, so you know all the terms. I didn't. I just knew Major League as a fucking term, so I just threw it out there into the ether and got a fucking laugh in response to how fucking stupid I am. Anyway, imagine a wall of trophies, right? All of your achievements as a kid, and you have one fucking missing. And you're like, well, I've got to get that one. And it's like, oh yeah, all you have to do to finish your fucking trophy cabinet is touch some feet for 8 hours. That was my thing, was I don't want to do this for 8 hours, but it's the only one I'm missing. I fucking amen to that one. I hate that one. That's true. I do hate feet, but it was just one of those things where if it was another game, I would have given up. Like, say if it was like if Watch Dogs required me doing that for 8 hours, I wouldn't do it. It was just because it was Persona, and I have the other ones that I'm like, might as well go for it. Anyway, fucking hell. I love how I gave an addict. I love how I gave at the start of the episode a tangent about tangents, and then here we are on an episode where I feel like I've gone on 6 million fucking tangents. Anyway, back on track. Bloodborne. Bloodborne difficulty, right? It's like, I don't know if games are like, to me, when someone says a game is like really hard, I'm thinking of like, oh, you need to be like the best of the best, right? Like, to me, something that's hard is like getting great at an online game, right? Being great at Overwatch, being great at League or something like that. That requires fucking skill and dedication and being fucking good at a video game. To me, in my opinion, after playing Bloodborne, anyone can finish a Dark Souls game. Anyone, if you have the motivation to just learn.
Now I'm feeling motivated.
There's nothing in the game that is quote-unquote difficulty-based that you cannot overcome. There's no bullshit in it. Like, there's a couple of bullshit moves that you eventually learn to dodge and go, damn, that's really stupid, right? But to me, there's no point in the road where you hit it and go, okay, how the fuck from my skill level am I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it has got me thinking about difficulty in games now. And it's like, when you have the option, Kyle, like, for example, Kingdom Hearts or any game, when you have the option to choose your difficulty, then you can be a bit more like lenient with okay, we can make this a bit bullshit. We can try and fuck with the players a bit to try and make them learn a new way of going about things, right? You have more leeway with that kind of thing. But in terms of video games in general, saying that Dark Souls is a hard game, I don't necessarily believe that's true, because there's no bullshit there. The game teaches you everything that you need to learn.
Yeah.
And it just lets you run. It doesn't throw anything in your path that should shock you.
It's all, honestly, it all falls onto the player. If they can or can't learn how to play the game, then how difficult it's going to be is on them.
Yeah.
It's just how well and how fast can they adapt to the game's rules.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably what throws so many people off, is that like From Software's games seem to play by their own rules instead of the ones that most like normie games, I guess. You just give them more HP and make them hit harder, and if you can still do everything, then
it does lead me on. It does lead me to a question where here's the thing. I don't think Dark Souls is hard. I think every other game has gotten easier, if that kind of makes sense. I feel like Dark Souls' kind of idea of difficulty and just kind of how the game works is very similar to older generations of consoles and games. It's very similar to PS1 games. School. And back to JRPGs with bosses that used to fucking actually take effort to beat. And you'd have
like Super Nintendo games where if you died to the boss at the end of the stage, you'd have to do the stage again after you ran out of lives,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does kind of the kind of thing that is like, it's not necessarily difficult. It's just every other game's fucking baby bitch easy.
Yeah.
And when
every other game is afraid to ask more of you, because they're afraid they're going to lose you, like your attention.
Yeah.
And this one's like, nah. We don't care if you give up.
It's also artificial difficulty. I feel like we should talk about that, where in Souls, Souls isn't artificial difficulty. It's built like that. It's built to be played like that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, say most video games, say you're playing a first-person shooter, say you're playing a third-person open-world game, right? increase the difficulty. What does that do? Does that change the way the AI behaves? No, not really. Does it change how the world is designed, how the game's played? Yeah, it becomes more of a cover idea because it just means you take more damage, you have less health, the enemies deal more damage. That's the only fucking thing. Yeah, enemies have more health. That's the only thing that actually changes. It's artificial difficulty. It doesn't. Yeah. It's not like, oh yes, this hard. What was it called in Uncharted? The hardest difficult. Crushing. That's it. Crushing and grounded.
Grounded was.
Grounded, I think grounded is balanced in Last of Us because grounded is a concept, is a very good difficulty idea where it's you die in one hit, but so does everything else in the world because it's very much it's grounded in reality where everything would fucking die in one hit, and so would the enemies, and so would you. It's kind
Devil May Cry has them both like that, but it's real silly because you can just kill everything before they can touch you.
Yeah,
because you can just gun spam because there's no like with Last of Us it makes sense because you have resources. With DMC is just the pistols finally do something.
Yeah,
we're back to DMC 2, boys. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. But where was I? But with Dark Souls and that kind of thing, because it's built like that, the difficulty curve just feels natural. And yeah, you might have some tough times or something like that, but you can get through it. Saying that, also playing, would it hurt for Dark Souls to have an easier mode in Bloodborne? No. After playing that...
Yeah, I don't understand why like Souls fans would get up in arms about it, because it's not going to affect them at all.
Yeah, but then you get into the whole gatekeeping discussion.
One saying that difficulty option shouldn't be in a game is gatekeeping, and also it's kind of ableism as well when you think about it, because there aren't people that can do everything, right? There are not people that there are. Unfortunately, not everybody is able to do everything in a video game that they want to.
It's true,
because they
can't do a quarter circle turn on his control stick.
True.
Yeah. What a fucking loser.
I'm not going to put myself in that category of people, though, just because I'm a dumb idiot, right? But there are people that physically can't actually do inputs and do things in games. And it's unfair to them to not experience it, because there's a fair way to do difficulty as well, right? They're not taking the challenge away. It's just lowering the challenge a bit. Mm-hmm. It's not hard. Because in the same way, people are like, the difficulty is what makes Dark Souls. Well, I throw you this. Dark Souls isn't difficult in the first place. So why does adding a mode that makes it more accessible wrong? I don't understand it. Because, to me, an easy mode doesn't have to lower the health of the enemies. It doesn't have to increase your damage. It can just be like, okay, we make some moves a tiny bit slower so they're easier for people to read. Or we remove...
a bigger dodge iframes.
Yeah, or we give you a couple more iframes. Or we look at the boss and go, okay, that guy has like a final move where if he's at like 5% health, he'll do something.
He summons a bunch of snakes.
Yeah. Summons a bunch of snakes, or we'll do an insta kill move that you have to be really quick and really fucking on the button to do. Let's remove those. It's about doing it properly. It's not taking away from the experience. It's just creating a new one. It's very much opened my eyes playing a Souls game, because I can just look at everything, and everything that I've been saying, like Dark Souls should have an easy mode. Yeah, I have more. Nice pun. I have more insight. But after playing it, I can say all those things like Dark Souls should have an intro, and I can back them up and say, yeah, wouldn't affect my experience, because hey, I would still play. Because if you're saying that it would ruin the experience for you, what you're saying is that you don't enjoy Dark Souls enough.
You enjoy being able to brag about beating it, is what it sounds like.
Or you know in your heart that if they give you the option to change the difficulty,
you would.
That you'll change it instead of fighting it. You know that that'll change. And also, people that say that they've beaten it and act all gatekeepery, I can guarantee that some of them will have used summons, will have brought people in from the online, will have done all sorts of fucking things, and they'll still count it as if it's their own achievement. But as soon as we go, hang on, someone's got impaired vision, or someone can't do inputs as much as everyone else. What about an easier mode that we just remove some of the things and still make it a challenge, but make it more accessible to people? They're all up in arms, and I just don't fucking understand it. Honestly.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand gatekeeping, man. I genuinely don't.
I don't get it either.
Just fucking.
Maybe that's good for
baffles
us,
me.
but
Yeah, it's good that we're not massive tools. Like, imagine if when Kyle was trying to get into DMC, that I was trying to like tell him, "Oh, you're doing it wrong." It would have been so annoying.
Or when I played Kingdom Hearts, Kyle would be like, "Yo, no, you're not playing on hardest difficulty, you fucking bitch. This is like not like you're not getting the true experience or whatever." Which he might think critical is the true way to play it or whatever, but he's not going to stop. Yeah,
not on like a first playthrough. I've been playing the game since 2006.
Yeah, that's like I'm not done
out.
beating a DMC until I beat like the Dante Must Die mode of that game.
And you're not gonna say that someone's not a true Kingdom Hearts fan because they played all the games on beginner and just play it for the Disney worlds and just having fun with that kind of shit, right?
People can play games how they want to play. Ethan's experience with Kingdom Hearts doesn't affect my experience with Kingdom Hearts, and that's the beauty of single player games. You can play them however you fucking want to.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's the same with multiplayer games. You can play them however the fuck you want them to within the limits of the thing. Don't let someone shout at you on the internet because you're playing multiplayer game wrong. Fuck them, because that's also stupid. Unless you're in a competitive situation where you're actually like you're wanting to actually try and go for like a competitive thing, then there's no fucking reason to. Don't be the guy in quick play going switch off of Bastion, because why not? If they want to play fucking Bastion, let them play Bastion, you know? It's like, it's so fucking dumb. I hate these kind of
I used to see that shit all the time back when I was active in competitive Pokemon, where I'd see people with team building, and other people would be like, drop this Pokemon, use this instead, it's better. And they'd just be like, well, I want to use this. This is one of my favorites. Why can't I use my favorite?
It's dumb.
If Ash can use his Pikachu for 7 generations, I can use my...
Dude, if Ash can use his fucking Pikachu to beat an Onix, rules aren't real.
It does. It very much.
Granted, he won because of the sprinkler system, but I digress.
Ash won.
Ash
won half of his Kanto badges because the gym leaders felt bad for him.
He really did.
Maybe that's why he always loses, you know?
Yeah, it took him a long time to get
It's because everyone just keeps feeling pity on him, and by the time he gets to the Elite Four, we're like, well, we can't give him the fucking league title.
He never even got to the Elite Four. He got to the thing before that. Maybe it would have been like the anime equivalent of what the Victory Road is, like what the championship. Called. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm still annoyed. Like I'm very much in and out of the Pokemon anime. I still get fucking pissed about Gen 6. I still get pissed about Gen 6.
Is that the one where he made it to the finals?
Yep. And his Greninja lost to a Charizard.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no, just because they didn't want him to win the league, and then people got that pissed that in the next season they let him win.
Yeah, and
because people got that fucking pissed. Yeah, in the series that people didn't care about.
I watched the first season of that one, and I thought it was all right.
Of course, that was the same thing with the Diamond and Pearl anime, where he made it to the championships, and then the guy in
dude
the
with the Darkrai
brought out a Darkrai and a Latios
that killed everything except for what his Sceptile beat him, and then the Latios beat everything else.
So dumb. That was coming right off the heels of his final match with Paul. Fuck, dude. That was a great battle.
Yeah.
I have feelings about the Pokemon anime. Diamond and Pearl was great, but it took way too long to get anywhere. Much like the real games.
Diamond and Pearl was when I stopped watching as a kid.
Exactly.
Because I was like, I don't know, this just isn't interesting anymore.
It had good characters, though.
But apparently it had, it picked up eventually.
Yeah.
Dawn was endearing as a character. Barry
Gen 5's
existed.
Anime sucks.
But no.
Anyways, Dark
fun
Souls.
Little conversation. No, we
I think we finished that.
We've done it. We've talked about Bloodborne. We've talked about difficulty in games. We've talked about gatekeeping. We've talked about everything. We'll probably talk more about the ins and outs of me beating Bloodborne and everything when Sam's beating Bloodborne. We'll probably do a Bloodborne episode of the podcast at some point where we just go all in on Bloodborne, because We don't have many topics to talk about nowadays anyway, so...
There's nothing coming out.
One day they'll be... I mean, to be fair,
Dude,
this
video
week...
games aren't real.
This week, there is Nier Replicant coming out, so for the people that are buying... For the people that are buying Nier Replicant, I hope you enjoy Nier Replicant. I'm not buying it.
Oh yeah, it is this week.
Yeah, it's this week. I hope you enjoy
Pokemon
Nier
Snap
Replicant.
is next week.
We have games. We have games.
Kyle, you get to have points.
Do you think we could bully Sam into getting Pokemon Snap so we have someone to talk about it?
We probably don't even need to bully him into getting it. He'll probably just
buy it anyway. Yeah, he'll probably buy it anyway. It's the kind of game Sam would buy on a whim and play for an hour and then put it down like he usually does.
Yep.
That's the thing with Sam. If you don't know Sam, is he buys like nearly every fucking game that comes out. He just plays them for an hour and then forgets about them. He has a superpower of not finishing video games.
The way you describe that, it's real weird that he's been keeping with Bloodborne.
Yeah.
It is. He really likes bashing things with his hammer, dude. He really likes just hitting fucking things around the head.
I understand. Yeah.
Bonk.
It's like Pyro's forward smash.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. With that, is there anything else that we need to talk about? Have you played anything this week, Kyle?
I mean, I finished Xenosaga 2.
Oh,
wait, what? You finished that this week?
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
When did you do that?
Earlier this week. I think at like the
Nice.
start of the week.
Well, hey.
I don't know.
Did you like it more or less than the first one?
Depends on which parts of the game we're talking about. Story-wise, it was really great.
Okay.
Gameplay-wise,
They messed it up, huh?
they sure did. They did that thing where they made it needlessly complicated and battles took way too long.
Hell yeah.
Regular
Let's
battles.
go.
Regular battles?
Regular battles.
Oh,
Nice.
no.
Story was really nice, though. I really liked it. Basically, I didn't really talk about it in the last time when I talked about episode 1. There's a villain in the game. His name's Albedo. He's great. In the first game, you meet him. He's fucking insane. He's batshit. There's a cutscene where he kidnaps one of your party members, and he, at one point, takes off his head, drops it on the ground.
I've heard of that one.
The head is still talking, by the way.
It's like reciting poetry or something silly, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah. And then he crushes the head, and then his head grows back.
Amazing.
Okay.
That's never explained in episode 1 and then episode
awesome.
2. So you're just left with that and being like, okay, this character's wacky. I'm on board.
Nice.
And then episode 2 kicks in, and then there's one super long section of all just backstory of Albedo, his brother Rubido, who's one of your party members, and some third guy whose name I'm blanking on. He's not important. For all intents and purposes, this Xenosaga 2 is a story about Rubido and Albedo, and if they're not your favorite characters, 1, what's wrong with you? 2, you're probably not going to like episode 2 very much, because the gameplay did not do much to help, and the only other character to get spotlight is Shion near the end of the game.
Interesting.
Shion.
If you're playing along at home with Xenosaga, 1, thank you. 2, you can probably just watch the cutscenes for episode 2. You will not be missing anything on the gameplay front.
I am fascinated by these games. Someday, when I've cleared out the things that are in the more immediate vicinity of what I want to do.
They're really good, dude.
I'll look into buying them.
They're really good.
I mean, the fact. Good luck with the third one.
Yeah, good luck
yeah,
with
that's the
third
problem.
one.
Is
Hope
that
you're ready to sell your firstborn child to get it.
Oh.
Yeah, you might have to go on a
Done.
little boating trip to get that one. But yeah, it sounds like a Xeno game. Like when you said it goes on a little exposition, like little cutscene fest. I'm like, so a Xeno game, nice.
Legit,
I do
this
like how they do that.
One of the games where I'm like, I should just make popcorn before I start playing it. With how much of a fucking movie it feels like.
That's
Metal
how I
Gear
felt.
Solid 4.
That's what I felt like when the chapter 4 cutscene of Xenoblade 2 that is literally like has a runtime of like 50 odd minutes, and I was like, is this just a movie? Are we just like
when you get to the big old twist in Persona 5?
Oh my god.
And it gives you the save point in the middle of it.
Like it's so good, but at the same time, it's so much it's like literally, it's like, well, now it's time to talk at you for 95 minutes. Hope you enjoy that. Hope you like. It's like the JRPG standard, dude. It's exposition time because we've had too much crazy shit happening and we need to explain it all.
I am at least glad these games are voice acted, and it's not like Xenogears where it's just text box for half an hour, and it's like, okay, I'm reading most of this. My eyes are starting to glaze over the words.
I don't know how you do the whole, like, old RPGs, because to me it's like, I'm like, most of the time I'm listening to the performance is how I get through the story of JRPGs, is because I just like, the voice acting drags me through the text a lot of the times. It's like, I'm not a huge fan of visual novels, as many of you will know from the multiple times I've talked about Danganronpa and how it needs to learn to get to the fucking point. But usually, if it's a good time in a JRPG, at least the dialogue and the performances drag me through the exposition avenue.
See, that's the thing about all the old RPGs I've played, is that typically they're decent at getting to the point.
Yeah.
Like
Final
Fantasy VI got to the point. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any drawn out explanations needed in that game, really.
Chrono Trigger Final Fantasy like no time getting to its point.
Also got to the point. Like in an hour and a half in Final Fantasy IX, they do way more than most of the other games do in like 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with 8. 8 starts off on a getting going pretty quickly.
Nice.
But now, yeah. But are you looking forward to playing 3 for the first time then?
I have heard a lot of good things about 3. 2 was the one I was the most worried about because I heard nothing but bad about it.
Yeah.
On the whole, I can say gameplay wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. It's just really, really slow.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know if you want me to go into details, but like, basically, there's this. They added this system where you can basically stock turns, and you can use, after you've stocked, like, the maximum is 3, so you spend 3 turns stocking your attacks, and then you unleash it, and it's just like, why are we delaying
It sounds like a clunky version of, like, the Octopath battle points thing, where you can add the extras to attack more than once, you know?
Yeah. But where in Octopath you could do other things and not use your boost and still gain boost the next turn, you just need to stop and stock your turns and do jack shit for 3 turns while the enemy beats you.
Why would you go from the Final Fantasy X-like system that you had before, from what you were saying, to that? That's really weird.
It does sound weird.
And also, one thing that really bothered me is that all the characters end up playing the same.
Oh, no.
They all learn the same moves, same skills, same everything.
It's like if you build people the same way in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, so there's no reason to do anything besides use 3 characters, because the game will hardly ever separate you from your party. So you just have 4 characters sitting on the bench the entire time. Again, if you're playing along at home, make sure Rubido's on your team, because it's his story.
That's a problem that I have with a lot of JRPGs. It's like my problem with Persona 4 is, especially in terms of characters, is pick your 3 favorite teammates, because that's all you're gonna fucking use. Because by the time that you want to stop using them and have a break, all of the other characters will be so underleveled that you basically can't go back. I fucking hate when games are like that. It really annoys me, especially when you just want to, because sometimes you just want to spice it up and play with different
That's why I like the way the experience system worked, and I assume it works in all the Tales games this way. But in Tales of the Abyss, people would get like background experience. Mm-hmm. It would be a little less than what your battle was. There were occasionally times where I had party members die in boss battles, and then the people who weren't in the party had experience, and they passed them in a level momentarily. Yeah. That was silly, but it cracked me up.
There's background experience in Xenosaga 2, but like I said, it's pointless because you don't have any reason to use other characters when they all play the same.
Yeah, true.
And they don't separate them.
It is, yeah. I do like when modern RPGs have a background mechanic like that. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting. What baffles me is, you got Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3. The fact that they went between each one and didn't go, let's build on the system that we just made to enhance it for the sequel and go, let's do something new, is kind of an interesting choice.
From what I've played, what little I've played of 3 so far, they have gone back to like a more simple system, kind of like 1.
It's weird.
So
it's like they were like, let's try something new. Oh, that didn't work. Abort.
Yeah, basically.
Like, I don't know. This game's old, 15 years old, I think, if I'm doing my mental math right. When was 2006?
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, it's like 15 years.
So, I mean, they had a year between 2 and 3 to kind of
That's the bit that baffles me. That's the bit that baffles me. It's not like Xenoblade 1 to Xenoblade 2 where it's a separate thing, new battle system, because it's a sequel in name by the extent of Final Fantasy. It's more than a Final Fantasy, but it's more of it's a separate thing. You don't have to play 1 to play 2, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas because this is a continuation of a story, and they were basically released annually. Well, there was a very short gap in between. You think that they'd want to keep as much as possible so that it made easier for development, which is kind of baffling to me that they went, let's go with this new thing that seems a lot shitter than what we had originally. It is a kind of baffling decision.
Mm-hmm.
But hey.
I don't know.
Do what you gotta do, I guess.
I'm not a game developer. I don't know what Tetsuya Takahashi was thinking in 2000s.
Who knows? Who knows what JRPG developers were thinking in the mid-2000s, dude?
I don't know. Square thought it would be a good idea to not be able to skip cutscenes in any of their games, so who the fuck knows what's going on?
Hey, you gotta sit there, dude. It's part of the experience.
It's a bad experience.
There's a late game boss in Final Fantasy X that I have to hear the dialogue of a lot.
There's a late game boss in Kingdom Hearts 1 that you have to hear the dialogue to a lot.
I'm glad I played the PS3 version.
Yep.
It's, yeah.
You will give the princess back her heart.
Oh, if I didn't...
It is I, Ansem, Seeker of Darkness.
Honestly, if I didn't play Kingdom Hearts 1 without being able to skip cutscenes every time I fucking died and had to retry something, I honestly would not have finished that video game. So,
I think as a kid when I must have blocked out the fact that you can't skip cutscenes, because I had heard, when I was on the, back when 1.5 was still coming out, I had heard people be like, we can finally skip cutscenes in this game, and I'm like, could you just not do that in the original PS2 version?
It's crazy that they got to, the PS2 and didn't think to do that. Kojima with Metal Gear Solid 1 had the foresight to let you skip the cutscenes if you didn't want to watch them.
Yeah, well, Tetsuya Nomura is on a different plane.
He always has been, though. Let's be
really
real.
is.
I'm surprised you can skip cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts 3. To be honest, I'm surprised it doesn't make you sit there.
God, if you couldn't, so sad.
I'm surprised that when you play the game for the second time, he hasn't put a director's commentary that's unskippable on top of it, where he tells you every bullshit decision that he's made. You see, this guy fades in from the right side of the screen to represent progress. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Nomura, stop.
You see, the super boss represents all of my concentrated spite for the fact that they took me off of Versus 13.
No.
Ethan, you say that as a joke, but I kind of want that now.
To be fair, it'd be the one kind of...
a director's commentary from him.
Dude, I would take a director's commentary of a Metal Gear or Death Stranding or something. That would be great.
Well, I feel like the reason that it'd be good for Kingdom Hearts is because we finally understand what's going through the fucker's mind.
Well, I feel like you could probably say what it was and we still wouldn't understand.
Yeah, but you'd at least get an idea of why he's fucking mad. Like Kojima, everything makes sense in the end where you're like, yes, Kojima, you're a nutcase, but you made sense, so well done. Round of applause. See you in your next weird little thing that you're making. Whereas you sit and watch Nomura's stuff and you go, no, I don't understand how this adds up. And even if Nomura gave you an answer and it didn't make sense, you'd still go, at least we have an answer for why he did it. Even if it doesn't, I'd rather have that. But hey. There you go. But with that, I guess we're done. I guess we've been going quite a while. I didn't even think we'd make it to an hour, but hey, here we are, riding high.
Yeah.
I mentioned it. I mentioned it off the podcast, so you guys listening wouldn't have heard it. But if you haven't noticed, the runtime of HGO this past since we started coming back again in 2020, it's been a lot higher than it has been in 20. Sorry, as we came back in 2021.
We're in 2021, Ethan.
Yeah, the
Don't
whole
worry,
2020
I made that
just
mistake too.
2020 is a myth.
we were basically locked up for a whole year. This is basically 2020 as far as I'm concerned. You know, like fucking write that year off. It's a fucking tax write-off. 2020 didn't happen.
Mental tax.
But yeah, so. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of longer episodes. So it used to be like, oh, we got an hour, good. Whereas now I've gone into my head, we're not an hour and a half, we're slacking. But hey, we need to learn to just let the podcast die when we've finished talking. So we'll leave it at that, I guess.
Rambling and padding out the video.
Yeah, but I'm not doing this for.
We do suck at concluding things.
we do.
Fuck it, let's just keep talking.
Hell yeah, why not?
Snacks, anyone?
So about that tangent earlier. No. But anyway, thank you ever so much for listening and /watching this week. Remember, give us a good rating on podcast services everywhere. We would appreciate it. If you let us know on Twitter, we'll shout you out. Same with subs. Let us know in the comments if you subbed. We'll give you a shout out as well. Hunter, when you're not on this shit show of a podcast, where can people find you?
youtube.com/ReaperHunter23.
Nice. And Kyle, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch, both at KDavisSRL.
Nice. And finally, you can find me at Chaotic Ether on both Twitter and Twitch. Thank you so much for listening /watching. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, for more, where we will talk about something. We'll find something. It'll either be Bloodborne, but know me, if I say 100%, if I throw that dart right now and say, we'll be back next week to talk about Bloodborne, something big will happen that will push that episode. So I'm just not going to say anything. Something will happen. But anyway, we'll be back next week. Who knows what we'll be talking about? Well, I guess we'll find out then. But until then, have an amazing week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.